Entitled mother lets her kid steal my blind cane. So a bit of backstory. I am a 28-year-old woman who just recently went fully blind. When I was a teenager, I volunteered with my local youth group to help rebuild Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. And while down there I picked up a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis that over a decade migrated to my eyes and slowly caused blindness. I've been totally blind for about a year now, so I'm pretty new to it. But I digress. When I first went blind, I barely left the house and was afraid to go in public. I felt like everyone was staring at me, and in all honesty I barely knew what I was doing. The transition had been difficult and I didn't have any support group to teach me. One day my husband asks if I can take an Uber down to the bank and deposit a rent check, and I reluctantly agree. While out, he messages again and reminds me that we're out of a few crucial groceries. There was a Walmart grocery literally across the street from the bank. So I figure everything in life is an experience and I'll have to learn how to shop alone eventually, so why not? Everything was fine at first and I was only grabbing a few things, so I didn't need a cart. I was using my cane and what little echolocation skills I had at the time to get around. But was still bumping into things as we blind tend to do sometimes. My cane suddenly hit something a bit softer and I figure maybe I had whacked someone's leg and apologize. Cue entitled kid EK and entitled mother M. An amp #X200B. Me. Shoot. I'm sorry. An amp #X200B. M. Hey. You just hit my son. An amp #X200B. Me. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't see him there. An amp #X200B. M begins yelling. How could you not see him? He's clearly right here. An amp #X200B. Now I'm fully blind, but I don't wear sunglasses. Mostly because I can't afford a good UV blocking pair. But also I'm not ever looking for pity or to play the part of a generic blind person. I just want to be treated like a normal person. But I do understand her confusion, as blindness is a spectrum. So I try to calmly explain. An amp #X200B. Me. Ma'am. I'm blind. I can't see anything, let alone your son. That's why I have to use the cane. So I can get around without. An amp #X200B. She cuts me off. If you're blind, why aren't you wearing big sunglasses? An amp #X200B. Now, as a blind person I get a lot of stupid questions. But I understand a lot of them are just people who don't know better, so I try to happily answer as many as I can. An amp #X200B. Me. Those are really expensive, around $200 for a good pair. And I really don't need any inside. An amp #X200B. M. You're not blind. You're faking it. An amp #X200B. Here is where my blood starts to boil. I can't think of any reason someone would want to pretend to be blind. It's an actual hell, and nothing pisses me off more than when someone calls me a liar when I'm not. Just as I'm about to respond, I feel a tug, and before I blink I realize this little demon spawn has snatched my $100 cane from my hands. For those of you who don't understand, that's like if you're shopping and suddenly the power goes out and you can't see a single light. Without my cane, I can barely move at all without crashing into anything. An amp #X200B. My voice gets shaky as I begin to panic. Please give that back. I really do need it. An amp #X200B. M. No you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you. An amp #X200B. I hear her shuffle away and my expensive cane cracking into metal displays and such as they leave. I start crying and waving my arms in front of me to grab onto something. Anything. And end up crashing and falling into a center aisle display, making a loud scene. An amp #X200B. Without fail I somewhat curl into a ball and cry. I'm alone in public, in the dark, and I had no idea what to do. Suddenly I feel a hand on my shoulder and a man's voice, we'll call him Ag for awesome guy, asks if I'm okay and to stay right here. I do, but begin to at least sit up and listen. This man must have been tall and built like a tank because his footsteps sounded like a giant and I felt a suction of wind when he took off. Maybe about 30 or 40 feet away I hear this loud bellowing like an angry lion and a loud crash. Then before I know it the man is back and helping me to my feet. He takes my hand and puts my cane into my palm and helps me pick up the items I dropped when I fell into the display. An amp, #X200B. Me wiping tears from my cheeks. Thank you. Thank you so much, I didn't know how to handle that. An amp, #X200B. Ag. Don't worry about it. Some people are just monsters. An amp, #X200B. This guy restored my faith in humanity and even helped me finish shopping and helped me out of the store. As we're leaving, I can hear the familiar screeching of M. Something about Ag grabbing the cane and pulling hard, flinging her little devil child into a shopping cart. I don't know if she was exaggerating or not, but it would explain the crash I heard. An amp, #X200B. It's easy to feel alone in a world without sight. But even through the sheer terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know now that there are people willing to stand up for me when I need it. An amp, #X200B. Edit. Because of the sheer overwhelming amount of people asking, if you're blind, how are you typing? I'll first answer with my fingers. And secondly, I am using a screen reader called Narrator that reads the screen. Wherever my cursor or finger is over the screen, it reads. When I type a letter, it reads. Guys, just Google it or something. Like and subscribe for more.